How to generate random UV for objects like wood panels. This is one of the questions that usually for many 3D artists. But don't forget that if you want a realistic and great render, you must do this. Hi, welcome to MIMViz. Before we start, let's take a look at the images of wooden panels. At first glance, we notice that the wooden panels do not have the same texture in the components. And details like this are exactly what makes our work realistic and professional. So be sure to pay attention to the details. We have two ways to get to this conclusion, which we will discuss in this video. So let's get started. Well, we have a wooden panel in this scene. And to get to our conclusion, we want our texture to be placed on this panel in an irregular way. Well, the best solution for us is to be able to define different UVs for the elements of this wooden panel, so that we can create a non-uniform texture for it. But this is very time-consuming, and we cannot manually select these wooden panels one by one and define individual UVs for them. So we go to the scripts and get help from them. I'm going to introduce you to the UV randomizer script here. The script allows us to do this very quickly. But before that, there is a point about choosing the right texture for this model of objects. And that is to choose a seamless texture. Make sure that the texture you choose is a texture without seams. Well, as you can see, we have a texture here. If you look at it, you will see that there are no seams in this texture. But normally, when we apply this texture to the target object, there is no problem with the curved parts. But in the flat parts, it can be seen that it has a unified texture. And the wooden lines extend into the elements of the wooden panels. And everyone will know that it is unreal. So let's make it together. Well, before we use the UV randomizer script, we have to change the elements of our panel to objects. But if we want to do this one by one, it will be time-consuming. So I use the element to object script here. Well, now each piece of wood has turned into an object and can have its own UV. So now I use the UV randomizer script. I activate the customize size option and set the dimension to 100 centimeters. Now I use the Create UVW Map option to create an individual UV for each of these pieces of wood. But to create random in the wood lines, it is better to come to the Random Position section. Turn on the Tiled Map option and then click on the random position option. Now, if you want more difference in UV, click on the random position option again. So that more diversity is created in the UV of the pieces of wood. Easy. Now we have a realistic wooden panel. Pay attention to its details. This is great. Now it is enough to select all the elements and attach them again. I use the quick attach script for this. But let me tell you an important point here. That is, if your UV is not in the correct position or needs to be rotated, you can use the UVWX form modifier and fix its position. Like this. And that's it. In addition, if you want to have these scripts, be sure to visit our Telegram channel. But this is not the end of the story. There is another way to improve this wooden panel. So far, we have been able to create a random UV for each element of this wooden panel using the UV randomizer. But now imagine that each element of this wooden panel has a different brightness. This makes our work much more natural. Well, to do this, we go to the Material Editor window and select vray and multi-subtext from the Maps section. Now we give it to the Diffuse section of our material, and finally we assign it to our object. But note that the changes in this map only appear in the render. So I use the interactive rendering option so that I can see the result at the same time. But I forgot. In Corona, we have this map called Corona Multimap, and we can use it. This map, based on the recognition of the elements, creates random textures on our object. First, we specify the number of slots and assign a different color to each of them. Now we can see the changes. In the next step, we assign the getID from option to the random, and then activate the by elements option. Because in this section, we can access gamma, saturation, and hue options. In addition, random IDs are created for each element. From the seed section, we can change its randomness. Now I assign the color to all the slots because I want to see the changes in gamma and saturation. Now I change the gamma number so that I can randomly create darkness or light in the elements. Maybe 1 is good for that. Now I go to the saturation section and I change its value so that I can randomly create high and low saturation in elements. Now we are getting close to what we want. It's time to assign our wood material to each slot so that we can see the final result. Now we can create final changes with attention to our wood texture. And it's done. Finally, we were able to randomize the UVs and then randomly change gamma and saturation in the elements. And the result is a realistic and professional wood panel. Don't forget that materials have the biggest impact on creating a realistic render, so take them very seriously. Be sure to write your comments for us and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching this video. See you in the next video. Goodbye.